不论共和还是民主党的总统候选人说的多天花乱坠，对美国民众来说最关心的还是手里白花花的钞票。有些投资人就想趁着每4年一次的政治大秀进入股海当中大捞一笔，但专家说这次恐怕不太容易。
I think gaming the election and trying to make quick money on the election is a tough game given the amount of uncertainty right now. This is not binary outcome. It's not just about Trump and Harris, it's about control of Congress.
选情紧绷，就只能从2位候选人入主白宫之后的情况进行预测。如果川普回锅，很多对企业的监管措施将会松绑。
If you look at after Trump was elected in November 2016, small caps in those initial months really performed well, doubled the performance of the S&P 500. During his administration, the performance was right in line to slightly below large caps, but we didn't have this really wide performance disparity that we're seeing now between the mega caps and everything else.
川普选前也表态将支持加密货币，因此对于相关投资来说可能会是利多。但川普选前表态将大幅提高进口关税，尤其对终将寄出高达60%的进口税，可能会造成广泛的影响。
Any kind of company which has got a large international revenue exposure, and they're typically those larger companies, they probably stand to lose the most, because if there is any kind of very significant tariff either against China, Europe, or any other country, those companies with international revenues, of course, are going to be more hurt than the companies which are more domestically focused. And certainly that speaks to the small cap companies maybe standing in a slightly stronger position than the large cap companies under Trump administration.
与川普上任传统能源上涨相反，贺锦丽上台预计将会维持拜登目前的降低通膨法案。
The biggest thing about Harris being in power would be protection and continued implementation of the Inflation Reduction Act, which is a key legacy of the Biden administration. A lot of it hasn't been implemented yet, but this is big for wind and solar, biofuels, nuclear hydrogen.
相对于川普，贺锦丽在国际贸易上也比较不会采取强硬的态度，市场认为这将会是一项利多。至于外界担心贺锦丽选前一再强调高达28%的企业税会造成冲击，但专家却抱持乐观的态度。
To me, the most important consideration from an investor perspective is that Trump, if he wins, will probably have unified Republican control, and Harris, if she wins, will probably have divided government. So, when Harris comes in, these tax policy ideas that she's laid out that would probably need to get done on a party line basis, like realistically probably are not going to be on the table.
如果不想2选1，虽然选项有限，但市场研究专家还是找出不论哪一位当选，都渴望受惠的产业。
One area that I think really would benefit under both a Trump administration or a Harris administration is REITs. REITs stand for Real Estate Investment Trusts. And what's so interesting about REITs is if you think about Donald Trump, one of the things that he's been very adamant about is that he wants to see lower interest rates. And more recently, even Harris has indicated that she would like to see lower rates for housing. So they all want to see lower rates. That will benefit the real estate investment trust area because that area directly is competing with the bond market on yield for attractiveness.
专家也提醒，目前2位总统候选人都对大型高科技还有药厂的监管抱持比较强硬的态度，可能会影响后续的股价表现。但也认为就大盘的走向来看，不论共和还是民主党入主白宫，美股的表现都不会太差。
One way to think about the upcoming election is to look at a portfolio and consider, okay, what are possible sectors that could benefit the most? And the first thing that I would say is that under both administrations over time, whether it's Republican or Democrat, the market has thrived.
分析师认为，投资不应该只关注政策走向，而是需要观察企业的体质还有表现，押宝长期性成长的投资，比预测哪个候选人当选更容易得到丰厚的获利。TVBS 新闻综合报道。